Hello, everybody. I want to read a poem today by Shawn Aveningo Sanders. It is a poem called Labels. And I found this one online, so I'll put a link to it down below. Labels by Shawn Aveningo Sanders. Have you ever noticed the women who linger in the canned food aisle? How they stand there in their comfortable shoes, wearing a modest shade of pink lipstick to perk up an exhausted smile, scrutinizing and scanning each label. Cans of creamed corn, stewed tomatoes, garbanzo beans, and soup. Is it the calories, allergies, price? After weeks in the ICU, he is finally coming home. I pore over every prescription protocol, key in each doctor's number into my phone, make copies of his patient implant card to tuck into my wallet. I buy one of those easy-to-read neon pill caddies so he never misses a dose from the armada of pills fighting for his failing heart. I scan a list from my pocket. How long have I been standing here, holding this can, reading this label? I get it now. What it means to join the sorority of salt seekers, our faithful mission, rooting out sodium dangers at every possible turn. I understand these tedious, loving acts and the monumental task to save the hearts that beat in unison with our own. This was first published in One Art, June 21st, 2025. This poem, to me, comes across, it feels to me to be personal and raw. It does. I wanted to say a couple of things about it. It's free verse. 3 stanzas long. It is, the lines are between 9 and 12 syllables long. There's not really any kind of standard line length. And there's a lot of enjammed lines here. The sentences contained in the poem don't necessarily line up with the ends of the lines. I'm going to start by saying that there is a turn in this poem. There's a turn in this poem. So, a lot of poetry, you'll have a turn, which is the poem starts going this way, and all of a sudden it ends up going that way. And so that is something that happens here in this poem when we go from the first to the second stanza. First stanza. Have you ever noticed the women who linger in the canned food aisle? Question mark. And then we talk about the women. Is it the calories, allergies, price? That's how that stanza ends. Then we start the second stanza. After weeks in the ICU, he's finally coming home. Have you noticed the women who linger in the canned food aisle? After weeks in the ICU, he's finally coming home. And so that's the turn. Now, the next 2 stanzas talk about the poet's or the narrator's experience with this, with he who is finally coming home. Okay. So the first stanza, have you ever noticed the women who linger in the canned food aisle? They stand there. So we're all talking about the women, and trying to figure out, why are they there? Is it the calories? Are they trying to figure out if there's allergies, what the price is, whatever it might be? And the second stanza and the third stanza, we are learning about, from the narrator's side, what they are doing in that aisle. So this is kind of like, I'm going to just say 2 things about this. One is, if you're looking for like a poetry prompt kind of thing, this is a structure that you can use, which is a question and an answer prompt. The first stanza is the question, then you have a second stanza, that would be the answer. Or you could, whatever it might. You could structure this in different ways, but you're asking a question and then you're providing the answer. And in that, between that question and the answer, then you have a turn. So here's the question and then here's the answer kind of thing. This turn, I think, is particularly successful for one or two reasons. So we're looking at the first stanza here. Have you noticed the women who linger in the canned food aisle? Question mark. How they stand, I'm going to talk about the line and sentence length in these two stanzas, and how the rhythm of this poem emphasizes that turn. How they stand there in their comfortable shoes, comma, wearing a modest shade of pink lipstick to perk up an exhausted smile, comma, scrutinizing and scanning each label, colon, already it's a long sentence. Now we have a series, can of creamed corn, comma, stewed tomatoes, comma, garbanzo beans, comma, and soup, period. Is it the calories, question mark, allergies, question mark, price, question mark. And so the way that you end up reading this, either orally or even in your mind, have you ever noticed the women who linger in the canned food aisle? How they stand there in their comfortable shoes, wearing a modest shade of pink lipstick to perk up an exhausted smile, scrutinizing and scanning each label, cans of creamed corn, stewed tomatoes, garbanzo beans, and soup. Is it the calories, allergies, price? After weeks in the ICU, he's finally coming home. So, one kind of a little bit of a longer sentence, not too much longer, then a very long sentence, then three short sentences, three short questions. Is it the calories, allergies, price? Bum, bum. And then after weeks in the ICU, comma, he is finally coming home. That first sentence in the second stanza reminds me of when I was back in journalism class in junior high school, not junior high school, junior college. The headline has to hook you, right? And so what Shawn does is she hooks you twice. The first is asking the question, have you ever noticed the women? The second is, after weeks in the ICU, he is finally coming home. So both of these are hooks to kind of pull you in to the story. And so that's what Shawn wants to do, and I think that's what she does. And the other part of that is it the calories, question mark, allergies, question mark, price, bum, bum, bum. After weeks in the ICU, he's finally coming home. You got to keep that first line in that stanza, the first sentence in that stanza, under 10 words. And that's just kind of like a rule of thumb. Under 15 is good. The shorter you can get that headline that has an emotional impact, that'll hook you, the better off you are. Okay. To me, this feels personal and raw because of the details of the second stanza. I pull over every prescription protocol. Key in each doctor's, and there's a lot of, you could even talk about the series in this poem, because there's a lot of them, but we have the second stanza has 1, 2, 3 sentences in it. The second sentence is, I pore over every prescription protocol. I key in each doctor's number into my phone. I make copies of each patient's implant card, tuck into my wallet. I buy one of those easy-to-read neon pill caddies, so he never misses a dose from the armada of pills fighting for his failing heart. Number 1, armada of pills, an excellent image there. We know that it's a lot of pills. Gotcha. Super. Wonderful way of putting that. Very memorable. So it just, those details just strike me as being very personal and kind of raw. Last thing I want to talk about. With this kind of a poem, we ask a question. By the end, we get the answer. And the answer is, it's not calories, allergies, or price. It's salt. Sorority of salt seekers. Sorority of salt seekers. Alliteration. Wonderful and memorable alliteration on that one. But yeah, so if you're going to be doing this kind of a thing, just don't, you could just leave it all questions, but you ask a question, and then by the time you get to the end, you have an answer. And so, anyway, Labels by Shawn Aveningo Sanders. Wonderful poem. We'll see you again next time.